Okay, right now we're going to go through my top 10 most alpha male books that will change your life and the way that you look at the world. I own all 10 of these books and they sit very high on my bookshelf, and they are usually the first 10 that I recommend to anybody who ever asks me, like, oh, what are some of your book recommendations, Em? What do you think I should be reading? I usually send them this top 10 list. So we're going to go through this in tonight's coaching video, my top 10 most alpha books that every alpha out there should be reading. Basically every high value male. Okay, so let's crack right into this, guys. The very first book that I recommend you read, one of my personal favorites, and this is at the top of my list, by an author named James Allen. Okay, the name of the book is called As a Man Thinketh. It's called As a Man Thinketh. It was written a little over 100 years ago, which many of the books I'll recommend tonight were. Those were when some of the best philosophers existed throughout history. But this one was by an author named James Allen called As a Man Thinketh. And basically this book basically chronicles how your thoughts create your reality. And you've heard me repeat that phrase in many of my coaching videos, how your thoughts create your reality. Okay, it all starts in your mind. Okay, whatever you think you are is what you are. Whatever you think will be is what will be. Right? It's a great book. I recommend you read it. I believe you can even find it here on YouTube. If you YouTube it, James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, you'll find the audiobook. Okay, so you don't have to actually buy the book form of these books that I'm going to recommend tonight, by the way. You can find the audiobook. But this is the first one, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. The second book I'm going to recommend is also by the same author, James Allen. He's just had a lot of great works, but this is the second book I'm going to recommend from him. And it is called Above Life's Turmoil. Okay, this is a book that basically will help you to rise above life's daily nuances, any problems you're having in life, any struggles, whether it be financially, mentally, physically, emotionally. This book will help you to overcome that, and I highly recommend it. It's a book that's helped me tremendously, and again, it's called Above Life's Turmoil. The third book that I'm going to recommend is a book entitled Counsels and Maxims. This is by a philosopher named Arther Schopenhauer. Okay, and I believe you can even find that book here as well on YouTube. Just Google it. You'll find the audiobook. If you want to buy the print edition, you could probably find it on Amazon. But this is also a book that I recommend you guys listen to, read, download. And basically, Counsels and Maxims is more or less will give you the wisdom and the philosophies to live your best life, to live a great life where you're in higher consciousness, you're happy, you're excited to be here, and you're not living in this kind of like low vibrational state constantly that so many people are, right? If you look around, so many people just constantly look like they've just had their face pushed into the mud, right? They're just not happy. And personally, I don't like to surround myself with people like that. I like happy people in my life. But this book will help you to achieve that. Again, it's called Counsels and Maxims by Arther Schopenhauer. So that is my third book recommendation. My fourth alpha male book recommendation is a book by Robert Kiyosaki himself, entitled Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm talking about the original Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm not talking about all the other books he's written since then. There are some great nuggets in some of the books he's written since his initial release of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I believe was his first book. But this is the main book where you're going to get a lot of his key principles, a lot of his key ideas, especially when it comes to finance, when it comes to taxes, how to structure your own finances, your business, if you have one, if you're self-employed, or whatnot, right? This is a book that will help you kind of just structure your financial life. And it's very, very easy to understand. It's a very fun read. It's not boring or minute or anything like that. It's just very enjoyable, and he lays that out in a way that is entertaining. So I definitely recommend that you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and that's a book you might be able to find on YouTube as well. All right, so that's my fourth book recommendation. My fifth book recommendation is by an author who I've actually met. His name is Tim Ferriss. I met him at the bungalow in Santa Monica, actually a few times. I actually have some photos with him too on my IG at Matt Cross Official. And so his book is entitled The 4-Hour Workweek. Again, this is by Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Workweek. By the way, the fire engine is not at your place. It's over here. This is what happens when you live in a big city. You get fire engines at weird times of the night, police sirens, helicopters. You guys that live in LA, you got helicopters all night long. It's insane. But the fifth book recommendation, again, is by Tim Ferriss. It's called The 4-Hour Workweek. It really is responsible for the way that I've structured all of my businesses. Okay, whether it be my pickup and dating business, my male self-development business, or any of the new businesses that I've been acquiring the past few years, websites, e-commerce sites, Shopify sites. The 4-Hour Workweek has kind of like laid out a roadmap for how I create my businesses these days, where I just try to keep this minimalist mindset. The easier the business is to understand and the least amount of employees it takes to run it, the more interested I am in it. Okay, I don't like businesses that are very complex or that take, hundreds of employees to run. I like very, very simple, easy, cash flowing businesses, simple to understand, simple to run. Those are the type of businesses that I look for, that I acquire, and a lot of it is based on the principles that I learned in The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. This book was released in 2007, so it's a little bit dated by now, but the principles, many of the principles are still valid. Okay, they are still valid, and they will really change the way that you think about money, the way you think about your time, the way you think about your job, work, business, cash flow, you name it. Okay, so I highly recommend this book by Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Workweek. And moving on, the sixth book recommendation that I have for you guys is a book that you should all read. It's called The Game by Neil Strauss. And obviously I'm going to be a little biased here because I teach pickup and everything else. And this game is basically about Neil Strauss. He's a Rolling Stones writer, wrote books for Motley Crue and other rock bands. A successful writer, and he himself was having problems with the ladies, getting dates, so he ventured into this weird 2-year journey of becoming a pickup artist, and he documents it in his book called The Game by Neil Strauss. Kind of looks like a Bible if you ever see this book at your local bookstores. I don't even know if they still sell them there, but I have the hard copy of this book, and it's a book I highly recommend. You'll learn a lot about like old school pickup, game. A lot of these techniques still work to this very day. And it's a very fun and entertaining read. You're learning about the pickup community and dating, like all these dating gurus, from his perspective. So I highly recommend that book. It's called The Game by Neil Strauss. All right, my seventh book recommendation. It's basically a series of essays on self-reliance. And these essays were written by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So Ralph Waldo Emerson basically wrote a series of essays on the topic of a man being self-reliant, and how when you rely on other people for anything, how it causes you to become less happy, to become dependent on them, to lose your own focus, to lose your own motivation to do for yourself. These are some very powerful essays on self-reliance that help shape my own behavioral patterns when it came to asking others for favors or asking other people for help. I really changed my my thought process when it came to that, and really became practically 100% self-reliant, to where I don't really need anybody for anything. right? Outside of like running my businesses where I'm hiring people and I'm paying people to do things for me. I don't really ask anybody to do anything for me for free. I mean, even my younger brother, not that long ago, like a year ago, I was stuck somewhere about 30 miles away, and my girlfriend had left the light on my car, my Range Rover, and the battery died. So my brother was like, I'll just come out there and help jump it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So he comes out there like 25 miles. He had to cross the bridge and all this. Helps jump my car. And then he was just about to leave and take off and go home. And it's like, okay, brotherly favor. But I was like, what's your PayPal? And he gave me his PayPal. And he goes, why? I go, don't worry about it. And I PayPal'd him $50 just for coming out. He's like, oh, you didn't have to do that. I'm like, don't worry about it. Just treat yourself to some food, buy your girl something, go to dinner, go to a movie, whatever. But I just gave him $50 for that. I don't like asking people for favors unless I'm doing something for them in return, right? I like the win-win. I don't like I don't like these relationships where it's like one person's like constantly value leeching and never giving anything back. I just like to keep the score even. So Ralph Waldo Emerson's essays on self-reliance are very powerful, and I advise that you read them yourself. 50 Cent, the rapper, talked a lot about these essays by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Him, Robert Greene, when they wrote his book, The 50th Law, a lot of it was based on the teachings of Ralph Waldo Emerson. The 8th book recommendation that I have for you guys that every single one of you should read out there is a book called The 48 Laws of Power, and this one is actually by Robert Greene. We're just talking about Robert Greene, but Robert Greene wrote this book. I bought this book way back when. I want to say it was like 2000 almost. Yeah, it was around the turn of the century. It sounds like really old. 2000, 2001. I think it was 2000 I bought The 48 Laws of Power. This was a very, very controversial book even at that time, even more so today. I don't even know if he could release this type of book today. The 48 Laws of Power that he points out in his book are so against the PC culture that I'm surprised that they haven't banned this book, but don't be surprised if they do one day. Fortunately, I have both the hardcover copy of this book as well as the audio book, the audio version, back when they still sold CDs. But I believe you can even find this one on YouTube as well. But it's called The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and highly, highly recommend that you guys read this book. He's written other books as well, Art of Seduction, Mastery, The 50th Law, 33 Strategies of War. I've pretty much purchased every Robert Greene book there is, but this is the one that I recommend you read first. You could read his other books as well, but this is one of his best ones, and it's pretty timeless. So highly recommended. The 9th book recommendation I have for you is a book called The Prince by Nico Machiavelli. Okay? And Nico Machiavelli was more of a political philosopher back in the day, and this kind of goes in line with the 48 Laws of Power, and I believe that Robert Greene drew a lot of his inspiration from this book, The Prince by Nico Machiavelli. This is a book that just teaches you about how to gain political power, and you don't have to be running for president or political office to apply these techniques. I mean, you could just be looking to move up in your career, in the corporate ladder, in your job, in the world, right? And a lot of these principles are still applicable to today's times. I would say especially to today's times. So this book is called The Prince by Nico Machiavelli. All right, and my 10th and final alpha male book recommendation that I have for you guys. Can you guess what it is? All right, it's a book that was written hundreds of years ago. Long, long time ago. This is probably the oldest book that I have on my top 10 alpha male books, and this book is called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Okay, it's called The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and like the 48 Laws of Power and like The Prince by Nico Machiavelli, The Art of War kind of falls in line with the same type of strategies. Because the art of war is all about being a strategist and not being a tactician. Okay, and a lot of these principles, again, you can apply to your own life. You can apply to your own job, your own career, the business you're building. okay, or the lifestyle you're trying to create for yourself. It's got so many great principles, phrases, mindsets that will totally just transform the way you see the world, the way you think. It will literally elevate your mind and bring you to just a higher paradigm as far as your thinking goes. So if you have not read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, I highly recommend you read it. It's a very powerful book, and there's a lot of military strategy involved. That's what life is about, right? Life is not about being a tactician and merely following out the plan that's laid out for you. It's about being a strategist. This is why I always try to teach you guys to think like a strategist and not just a tactician. You always want to be thinking about your life as if you're already 90 or 100 years old. You're on your deathbed, right? And you're looking back on your life. How would you want your life to have played out? And then once you get an exact image of that, then you start shaping your life backwards. That way you can start working towards that now. The sooner you start creating that, the longer you'll have to enjoy it. Okay, so Art of War by Sun Tzu is my top 10 book recommendation. And I'm going to give you one more bonus, my 11th top 10 alpha male book recommendation. Probably didn't see this coming, or you probably doubted me. My 11th and probably most red pill book ever written. And I would say, I thought The Art of War was the oldest book on this, but this may predate that. The oldest book on this list, and my favorite book, and the most red pill book out there, whether you are religious or not, is the Bible. The Holy Bible. The scriptures. Okay, and I've been doing a lot of coaching videos lately on my 33 channel, just as far as like women go and what it says about women in the scriptures. So if you want to see those videos, you could head on over and check those out as well. That is my bonus alpha male book that you should read, probably the most red pill book on this entire list, and definitely filled with the most wisdom, and definitely easily the best-selling book on this entire list, the most read book on this entire list, and obviously the oldest book on this entire list. If you have any book recommendations that you would like to recommend to our tribe as well, feel free to drop them below in the comment section. Let me know what some of your favorite books are, some of your favorite reads, some books that have helped you and really shape your life and your mindset and the way you see the world. Feel free to drop those book recommendations below. And with that said, I'm going to wrap up here. Until next time, this is Matt Cross from AlphaMaleSecrets signing out here from my garage again with the DeLorean. As always, don't forget to smash that like button below and also hit that notification bell right next to it so you're notified whenever I release a brand new coaching video here on the YouTube. More importantly, guys, remember to subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a ton with the YouTube algorithm since they don't want to promote my coaching videos, right? I need your help to do that. And the way you can do that is by subscribing to my channel. Okay, it helps me out a ton with the YouTube algorithm, more than you know. So please make sure you're subscribed as well. And for you guys who want to support my work and all of this red pill, gold pill, and platinum pill content that I am teaching you here even further, the best way to do that is by becoming a premium subscriber of my premium AlphaMaleSecrets channel, which I'm hosting on a private platform away from YouTube. And the reason I'm doing that is to protect my content from YouTube in the event that they try to shut me down one day, which they might. But even in the event that they do, all of my premium alpha male coaching lessons will be protected, and they will still be up, available for viewing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, because we're on this private platform that I am paying to be on, right? And right now it's only $1 for the entire first month of premium AlphaMaleSecrets coaching lessons from me that you will not find on this channel. So take advantage of it. Okay, it's only $1, and all you need to do is click that link below in my description box. It will take you over to my website where you can get signed up right now. It just takes 2 seconds, so do that now, and I will see you in my next coaching video. Say goodnight.